everybody. Welcome back. Fresh Takes, Russo and Felice. I am Paul Russo, back after another week-long hiatus. Across from me, as always, the man, the myth, the legend himself, Nick Felice. Nick, how you doing? Good seeing you. Cleanly shaven today.
Yeah, just shaved last night. Good to see you, Paul. Another episode. Finally get to talk some NHL playoffs today. I know you're looking forward for that. And I think we got a good show. I think it's the first time we've had a guest on in a long time. What do you say, about a year? It feels like it.
Give or take. But yeah, we have, as I pull up the note card here and pan over to him, Nate Sharman joining us. Finger Lakes One, producer, broadcaster, podcaster, extraordinaire.
A lot of titles.
That is a lot of titles. Wow. Pleasure to be here, boys. Glad you asked me to be on today.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to talking some sports. It was quite the weekend.
Yeah, it
a lot
was.
of sports going on.
It was. As you called it, at least with Sunday on Mother's Day, it was a packed day of not the true sports equinox, but
Right. I mean, April into May now is just such a fantastic time for sports. So much going on and so much high-pressure opportunities, too, for these players.
yeah. So we're going to do NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs, Kentucky Derby.
Yeah,
Big upset there.
I thought the Pirates upsetting the Dodgers last night was the biggest upset of the last couple days, but no, that Derby, we'll talk about that. That was a huge upset there.
Yeah. So let's jump in with the NBA playoffs because I feel like that's where we could really dive into some stuff here off the bat. So conference semifinal round. It's been, I wouldn't say like outright chippy, but like there's been like really weird like physicality storylines in each one of these series to a degree. I feel like the only one in a weird way was the Celtics Bucks series, and even then we had Al Horford who chose violence last night. So we'll obviously touch on that, but Embiid's back for the Sixers. That's causing Miami some fits. The Grizzlies Warriors was not a series I anticipated really being great defensively or being a truly physical series, but it has been, obviously. And then the Mavs Suns has just been chaotic for reasons off the court at this point now. So
It was not a good birthday weekend for CP3.
no, it was not. So we'll jump, I guess, right in with the Heat and the Sixers, I suppose. Look, as a Heat fan, I don't know if I'm necessarily full-fledged panic button hitting, but it is slightly worrisome. I still think the Heat get it done. But, Embiid's just a freak, even with him only being probably at 75%, really.
What do they say always is the series doesn't start until a team wins at home. Or
Right.
team wins on the road, excuse me. Mm-hmm. So, if you have a 4-game series so far, and each team has won their home games, and now it's a 3-game series. So it's going to be really interesting to see. I would expect the Heat would kind of bounce back. I just think behind the helm of Spoelstra, that just helps so much. There's so much experience on that team. So I would expect the Heat to win tonight over the Sixers.
I like that answer from Nate. First time I've had anybody on my Spoelstra side in years.
He's a great coach.
But yeah, you mentioned good points. The part that worries me is Bam has been pretty tuned down with Embiid back. Mm-hmm. And then obviously the 3-point shooting's been rough for the Heat. I know Nick's favorite players of all time, like Danny Green, for instance, and James Harden.
Those are not. Where did you get that fact?
As you would say, my sources have told me.
I gotta ask you though, Paul.
Yeah.
As a team that's been looked, under the radar all season long, your Heat, and are back. They were finally starting to get some recognition. Now they're back under the radar. How do you feel? Everyone's picking the Sixers. It seems like.
Yeah, but that's the sexy pick at this point, right?
Who's favorite to win the series?
The Heat were.
I was 3-point favorites tonight.
Yeah, so. I don't know. Like I said, the Sixers are the sexy pick because they got Harden and Embiid, right? They got the Doc Rivers storyline at this point. The Heat had been under the radar all year. I don't even think that they were probably even above the radar, quote unquote, even during the Nets series. I mean, I think everybody's highlights for the Nets series was just the fact that we could, or not against the Nets, but the Hawks. Shows how much I recognize Trae Young, I guess, in these scenarios. But
I mean, the Nets were what? They were the 4th through 5th option, and they were in the play-in. So
right.
The odds were kind of wonky this postseason in the NBA, in my opinion.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. I mean, even against like the Hawks, I mean, the story was not about the Heat, but Trae Young doing bad and everything like that.
Right, just because of his kind of resurgence last year. It was unbelievable against the Knicks.
So, I mean, I don't know. I think the interesting part for the Heat at this point becomes, where does Duncan Robinson fit back in? Because, I mean, I love Strus, and he's way better defensively than Duncan, and I like the fact that he keeps shooting as opposed to Duncan when he's off, he doesn't, but something's got to switch up here. I don't know what. But, I mean, I still think they win the series. I'm not panicking yet. If they come out and really just struggle tonight, then, yeah.
If they lose tonight, are you nervous they're not coming back home?
It depends how they look. If they look good, then I won't worry, per se. But if they come out and just look bad and get smoked, that's where,
They're due for a Jimmy Butler takeover game, though. That's been a little while since
he's been having takeover games, though.
Yeah.
I mean, he had another near 40-point game 2 days ago.
Right.
I mean, somebody other than Jimmy's got to do it. I mean, Jimmy's proven that when you need him to, that is who you can have him be, but that's not where he's good. Or that's not where the team is good, rather. I don't know. I mean, I don't... Kyle Lowry's looking doubtful at best the way it sounds for tonight, which is weird. I kind of would prefer to kind of see how they do without Lowry out there at this point. I don't know if spacing it makes it a more interesting game. Having Gabe Vincent adds a little extra layer of athleticism in a way, just because of he's a little bit more lanky. Can probably guard a couple different spots as opposed to Lowry, who can really only give you one. So,
what are your thoughts on Oladipo?
I like Depot in the role right now, kind of off the bench. Depot might be in a spot to actually start tonight, in all honesty. But I know him and Jimmy. The part that kills me is they don't have beef. They aren't good on the court together. Like, they just don't space well together. So, he's good. I mean, he's put the team on his back a couple different times this postseason when we've needed him to. Still proving that he's that good of a player. He really is. All right, let's shift gears. Let's keep it east for a couple minutes here because this series has been absolutely crazy. Who in 2022 thought we'd have an Al Horford game again? But that happened last night. I know, Nate, you were buzzing about that this morning a little bit, pretty good. But all kind of started after Giannis kind of dunks on Al Horford, and Al Horford kind of has this looks like, okay, all right, let's see what we can do here. I think his wife tweeted about, I've seen that face before. That's never a good thing. But I mean, you're buzzing pretty good about the Al Horford game last night.
Yeah, the Al Horford thing is crazy to me. I mean, he goes to Philadelphia, gets paid all that money, and he struggles, quite frankly.
Yeah.
Then he comes back to Boston, and he loves playing in Boston. You could just tell. Maybe, I don't know if the spacing wasn't great with Embiid or not, but he just fits in so well with that team, and that team is so much fun to watch, and that's such a great series so far. And I watched the end of it after we got home from the game last night, so they're fantastic to watch on both sides.
I've told you this, Paul. I'll tell you, Nate. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to believe someone's going to take over the Bucks until it happens. So, as of right now, I still think the Bucks are going to win this series. But Celtics, obviously as a Knicks fan, I hate the Celtics.
Bing bong.
Yeah. So, I mean, they're proving me wrong. I mean, I'm not surprised by the Nets series. I've said that before. I think the Nets, they have a couple stars, but they have no one to build around them. So it's not surprising. I mean, it is a little surprising that they swept them, but I'll say that not surprising that the Celtics won that series. But, they're giving the Bucks a run for their money. They needed to win last night. They got it. And I don't know. If the Celtics win Game 5, I think they can win this series in 6. I really do. I think it's a must-win for the Bucks in the next game.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, So I do see this series as kind of being like a toss up in a sense, still to a degree. Um, I'll say this as a Heat fan, I'd rather face the Bucks and the Celtics right now.
Really?
Celtics frighten me space wise.
Yeah, but if they let Giannis play bully ball, it's almost over. Like they let him last year in the playoffs.
Well-
they let him this year a lot too, but
Well, it's kind of Jordan Rose-esque in a way, in that sense, right? Do you want to, where it's the two-parter? Would you rather have this Giannis kind of go off and do his own thing while you shut down the other four on the floor?
no,
with him at
Middleton
that
is
time?
huge for that Bucks team.
Yeah,
With Middleton, I think that could.
Oh well, it's a
series
different,
in Boston.
it's a different story,
Yeah.
right? I mean, I think we can all agree on that. That if Middleton's out there, different story, end of discussion. But the fact of the matter is, he's not. And you know, look, I'm probably the biggest Drew Holiday fan this side of like the Ohio River, but nice geographic joke. But look, I mean, he can't guard the same people Middleton does. He can't do the same thing Middleton does just because he's so much smaller.
Right.
So it's tough. And at the same token, I mean, we've seen Grayson Allen cannot step up and do the things Middleton does. I mean, Grayson Allen is about the worst defender right now in the playoffs, getting valuable minutes, the way it seems. If you're, and this is not because I love Jaylen Brown, but if you're getting dropped to your freaking butt by Jaylen Brown, like, what are you doing? So, I don't know. I understand where you're coming from, Nick, on the Celtics. I do, because let's face it, this is pretty much the same team we've seen out of them. The past really 5 years, right? I mean, that's how long Brown and Tatum have been together now.
Smart's been there too.
Right. And, I mean, other than that, obviously, you mentioned Horford, right? More or less being interchanged out. Tice has been brought back. Your role players, your Williamses, your Whites. I mean, sure, some are new and some are old, but they all are kind of the same hodgepodge of guys that you've kind of had come in and out.
Yeah,
So
Brad Stevens moved from the bench up to the
Right,
office. It's
right.
a very similar team. You're right, Paul.
So I do understand that logic, though, in the back of your mind with that, how that would kind of play a factor.
They do play defense, though. That's for
Right.
sure.
All right.
I would say best defensive team remaining.
Ooh,
Ooh, said that to a Heat fan. Oh no.
I don't know. We'll circle back to that potentially. Let's head out west. Let's start with the Grizzlies and Warriors because that series is just it's kind of baffling to me. I kind of said from the jump, but it's weird because I thought this was just going to be the one series out of all of them where you can kind of throw the defense shows up in playoffs mantra out the window. But it's funny. I think the perfect encapsulation of what the series has been so far is I'm kind of like semi paying attention to the game last night. I have it on the TV, but I'm not really paying attention until I look up, and midway through the third quarter, it was 58-52, and I'm like, oh, okay, they're starting the third quarter, and then I look at the time, like, oh, there's 5:30 remaining in the third. Like, what the hell is this? But that being said, right, the series has been hijacked by, I'm not going to call it hijinks, by both teams. I think both teams are kind of doing squirrely things to that end. But you have, the Ja Morant versus Jordan Poole, and then, pretty much take your pick of Grizzlies guys, whether it's Ben Anderson going at Poole or whoever, where it's, and I don't know if he grabbed Ja's knee intentionally. It kind of looked that way initially. I'm not going to sit here and lie. But the same token, I feel like you have to have some sort of really great, I don't know, cerebral vision to just kind of grab at a guy's knee while you're falling down as well. So I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it's weird how this storyline's kind of hijacked what's been a pretty good and interesting series out west, because obviously the Warriors still really good, but this Grizzlies team, I don't want to call them the next team up yet, only because I could see them doing what the Hawks kind of did this year and just regressing so bad that we're all calling for Jurgens to get fired next year, or Jenkins, whatever the hell his name is. So, yeah, I don't know what your guys' thoughts on that series is. To me, it's been the most interesting one out of the bunch, though, just because you have so many things going in and out, and then obviously I forget to mention just Draymond being 2016 Draymond at this point, like in a weird way, playing good, and also back to his, I guess, more or less media antics. So,
Yeah, I'm actually kind of surprised they lost without John Morant on the court. Weren't they like 20-2?
yeah, 21-2, I think.
They covered. Good teams win, great teams cover.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's not surprising. I mean, Golden State, they're on a mission this year because they haven't made the playoffs in a few years, which I wish the Knicks could say that, but it's only been a year now for the Knicks, but yeah, so they're on a mission this year to get back to not just the Western Conference Finals but the NBA Finals. So, and then the Grizzlies, this is their first playoff run together. I mean, they got some guys on the team that have been in the playoffs before, but this is the first time with John Morant running that team. So, not surprising that it's 3-1. Obviously, I don't care about that record at all. It's without John Morant, they're just not. I don't think they're a better team. So it's a tough one that they couldn't have last night. So I think this one could be over in 5. I think it could be done tomorrow I think they play tomorrow. So yeah, that's really all.
You are. I know. Well, wait, hold on. I misread it. Yeah, you're right. Tomorrow at 9:30.
Yeah, is Ja gonna play?
I think that's remained to be seen.
Yeah, I think so. It was really interesting to see because he sent out a tweet about Jordan Poole, right? Mm-hmm. And then he quickly, I don't know about quickly, but deleted it after he was alerted that he kind of did a similar thing to Klay Thompson in that game.
Right.
Kind of flew into Klay and banged knees. So it's interesting to see Ja have to kind of retrace his steps on Twitter after going after Jordan Poole.
Right. And they seem, I don't know if they're cool with each other, but they at least appear to have.
Yeah, they're competitors.
They at least have appeared to kind of cool it for the time being fairly quickly. I mean, I don't know. All right, last thing on the NBA playoffs, I guess, is obviously the Suns Mavs. Again, a series that's kind of been hijacked in the past couple of days with, in this case, off the court antics. That being said, been a tightly contested series. They go Game 5 tonight, obviously, in the Game 5 spectaculars across multiple sports, as we're calling it. Back home in Phoenix for the Suns. Obviously, credit to newsbreaker Devin Booker for breaking the Monty Williams news. But this was a Suns team that I think a lot of people kind of pegged as being that best team out west. Justifiably at this point. But this has been a pretty pesky Mavs team for them for really all year, especially once Luka got into basketball shape roughly around the All-Star break. Nick's the only one. I'm disappointed in you, Nate. Nick got it. I'm proud. But
Looking for a big laugh.
I wasn't anticipating a big laugh. I anticipated a smirk. But either way, yeah, I mean, this is pretty much, to me, it's like a battle of the next generation guards in a way, kind of the overseas versus the obviously American style, right? Booker, obviously, America, Luka from Eastern Europe, but it's again become another story of something that's not, I guess, a really important part of the series where we have fans pretty much, I'm going to call it going at family members, and it's become actually an important topic here. I've I've said on this podcast, I've said on other podcasts that I'm kind of for players kind of going back at fans should something happen, and I don't think these Maverick fans, as the team released in that PR statement yesterday, were going for hugs with Chris Paul's family out in the concourse.
It's Dallas. What do you expect?
Well, yeah. But we expect that more from Cowboys fans than
They are Cowboys fans.
That's true. That's true too. So, but this has been like I said, this is a fun series. If anything, to me, this one does have 7 written all over it. I don't know, if it actually gets there. I mean, these are two teams that tend to ride the hot streaks more than anything else. The Suns team, when they're off shooting wise, they struggle. That being said, Dallas borderlines needs just the shooting to be there for them to have a shot. So
Suns are going to be pick and rolling a lot tonight, especially we going at Luka. They've done that a lot this series and been really successful by going right at Luka. I'm not sure if it's that off the top of my head, but that Suns team is an incredibly good pick and roll team, and they target Luka a lot.
Mm-hmm.
This series, I just don't get it. The Mavericks, I don't understand how it's 2-2. They got a bunch of ex-Knicks out there.
Block.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they play hard. I guess I got to give Jason Kidd some credit. But, I mean, the Suns, they didn't lose like 20 games all year. They were in the teens in losses. And, 2-2.
they also trade away former Knicks all year.
Yeah, I mean, they got they also got rid of KP. They got Reggie Bullock.
Dinwiddie's awesome.
Oh, I love Spencer Dinwiddie.
Oh, yeah, he should have been on that Brooklyn team this year.
True.
Yeah.
And they should have had Karis LeVert. They should have had Jared Allen. If they had those type of players, the Brooklyn might have won a championship this year. But they're not going to win with Bruce Brown.
Or Bruce Brown.
But, yeah, I just don't get this series. I don't understand how the Mavericks keep winning. I get that they beat Utah. I mean, I'm excited that Donovan Mitchell might be coming to New York, but he's just not. He's a star at best. He's never going to be a superstar. And then it's just I got that they won that series, but this series 2-2 now. I don't know. I'm not betting this series. I am staying away.
Probably a smart move. Did I hear right now? Not a superstar.
Yeah, you can write that down. You could Ernie Johnson this and write that down.
No, that'd be more of a Charles Barkley guarantee.
Yeah, but you're Ernie, so you got to write it down.
Oh, my bad. Ernie. Rings Ernie. All right. Let's move on to the Stanley Cup's playoffs as they're hitting what I always call the fever pitch for them because, I mean, the first round of hockey, obviously you still have everybody out there. Well, not quite everybody out there. We do have to give credit. There is one team already eliminated. One team with what I always call the NHL the hardest sport to have a true sweep in, and the Avs had done it to the Preds. Surprisingly, I figured the Preds would be able to at least pip a couple out, but apparently not.
A lot of 2-2s.
Yeah. Something that Nate was very excited about for tonight. Anyway.
4 Game 5s in 2-2 series tonight. Yeah. Unbelievable slate for the NHL tonight.
So, Nate, tell us over you first. What's been some of your favorite stuff so far with the Stanley Cup playoffs? Because, for me, being a Lightning fan, I'm not anticipating them going far. They've pretty much have played 2 straight years of hockey with no breaks. But they're hanging tough with Toronto, obviously. But it to me the playoffs have just been pretty crazy so far. The scores have been wacky. The storylines have been pretty hectic. I mean, just as an example, we have people kind of siding with Brad Marchand all of a sudden.
Yep.
So it's been, like I said, I mean, this is playoff hockey. This is what you want out of playoff hockey.
Right, and I'm going to continue rooting for your Leafs this playoff series just for the sole fact of being a Sabres fan. It's been a rough 10, 11 in the playoffs in 11 years, but still I'm going to hold on to the stat that the Buffalo Sabres have won a playoff series more recently than the Toronto Maple Leafs. That's a stat that's pretty unbelievable, but it's true. So I'll continue rooting for the Lightning. But one of the things I really thought was interesting is on the Rangers side, you have a goaltender in Igor Shesterkin who's the runaway Vezina winner. He's most definitely going to win that tournament or win that award, Mm-hmm. And he got pulled. He got pulled yesterday. He got pulled in the previous game. So it's going to be really interesting to see, especially on the other side of the net in that game, your former Lightning goaltender Louis Domingue. So it's
my guy,
so
Louis,
many storylines.
or as we call him in Tampa, Louis Domingue.
Yeah, you played well last night.
Yeah, I mean he's a guy that ultimately I wish the Lightning hung on to. Obviously, our backup goalie situation's been So I call it boats passing by in the night.
You got a workhorse back there in
Since then.
Vassy though, so it's
Well, I mean, yeah,
as
but I mean
important.
at the same token, we've had Elliott. I mean, now he's coming back for next year, but he got better towards the end of the season, but he did not look good by any means when we had to have him out there. And then obviously the past couple of years, it's been your hodgepodges of guys from whether it's McElhaney to pretty much your guys getting pulled up from Syracuse. So either way, yeah, Nick, your Rangers a rough one for sure at minimum last night. To the point that you had all of PPG Paints Arena chanting that they wanted Igor to stay out there.
I remember when he used to be called the Igloo.
Unbelievable season though for him.
Yeah.
It's not that it's going to be amazing for that Rangers team. It's the first time he'd really been in that position, so they'll be able to shake that off. But their backs against the wall with 3-1, so it's going to be interesting to see. And looks like it could be Penguins Capitals again. Obviously, Florida got a win last night, but we've seen that series so many times in the last few years. So
Right.
it's interesting to see all around. We could do a whole podcast on just the NHL playoffs for tonight because there's just so many storylines. Paul.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they got a uphill climb here, but you know, it out of the Eastern Conference is so tough. So out of the 7 other teams, I probably would have picked Pittsburgh at the start of this playoffs. So, you know, and especially with their goaltender out for the series, but you know that third string goalie's come in. He's done a good job. I mean, we still got. I don't know how home ice really matters, but we got 2 games at home ice in these next 3 games. If we have to win them, well, we have to win them all to win the series. But so I think you just got to take it one game at a time. You know, win this game 5 tomorrow, and then game 6 in Pittsburgh. It was ugly first trip there, but if we get the chance to go back, win that, and game 7, you never know what can happen there. So, you know. Not feeling confident, but we'll see. You know.
Well, anything at this point for the Rangers, I'd say is pretty much icing on the cake already than what they've had all
I mean,
year.
they weren't
So.
supposed to win this year. I mean, they got a lot of guys who are just getting their first crack at the playoffs. So, you know, I like the way Lafreniere's been playing. I think he's going to be a star. Yeah, and Igor's fine. I think it's just a lot of it was deflections too. A lot of those goals that he gave up in that second period. So, you know, that happens. So, hopefully he learns from it. And I'd like to see him get a shot back in Pittsburgh and see if he can redeem himself.
And then out west, obviously mentioned the Avs has pretty much rolled Nashville. The Avs, well, actually, I shouldn't have made the jump quickly because they brought up a good series there that I kind of forgot about because, well, they're 2 of my least favorite teams on the face of the earth.
Really?
Panthers and Caps.
What do you have against the Panthers?
Oh, I mean, they act as if the Lightning are the dirtiest team on
Florida
the
ain't
planet.
big enough for the 2 of you?
I mean, it's Champa Bay, not Champa Fort Lauderdale or wherever the hell the Panthers
Sunrise.
play. Yeah, that too.
I know. They're right
But,
in Miami. You think you
They
would
aren't
like
right in
them?
Miami.
It's close.
It's like saying Seneca Falls is downtown Rochester. Anyway, yeah, is it a little bit? I mean, now it's tied 2-2, but I was convinced for most of the night last night that it was going to be Capitals 3-1 heading into today, and I could really just rally behind the President's Cup curse coming back and rearing its head against this team. But
Former Sabres Samson Reinhart with a
Yeah.
big goal at the end of that third period.
yeah, so yeah, I mean, obviously the Panthers have been at least the most high-flying offense all year.
By far, yeah.
It's been really the story of their goaltending once again. Bob has not looked great back there by any means for the most part. Knight has taken, I wouldn't say a step back, but certainly sophomore blues type, season. Other than that, their defense has been average, and that's all I guess you kind of need to a point when you have an offense like Florida's. So I don't know. And then the Caps, I mean, that's the team I loathe more than any other one on the face of the earth for the most part. But I mean, Tom Wilson's a freaking chooch, and either
Ovechkin's
way.
Ovechkin, though. I think he catches Gretzky. I know that's a topic for another
Ovechkin's
podcast
a
on another
commie.
day, but
He's a commie, whatever. So him and a freaking Kuznetsov and anyway.
We're not gonna get you going.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be quite the interesting second round matchup there, Pittsburgh versus the Capitals. Coming back around conference semis. Really, it would be probably, to me, obviously we are talking probably, well, maybe not quite 10 days down the line, but certainly 7 days at least. That would probably be the last, at least, series matchup of kind of the Crosby-Ovechkin era. Neither obviously are getting younger. I think, obviously, not to bring politics into this, it's been an interesting, obviously, post-All-Star break for Ovechkin with how Russia's kind of going about things in the world. And he's already kind of kicked around ideas at a certain point of possibly going back and playing in the KHL and stuff like that. And at the same token, Crosby got probably more dinged up than he had hoped this year at certain points. Good, bad, or indifferent. I know he had, was it 2 different bouts with COVID, one with contact and one where he was actually positive, something like that. So, but look, at the end of the day, these are 2 guys who have been in the league now for 17 years, right? If my math is right. Yeah, 17 years. So,
Like that.
eventually it just takes a toll on your body. Ovechkin is pretty much Silver Fox at this point. Quite literally, just looking to warm up without the helmet on. And, Crosby certainly has slowed down. It's going to be weird. We are about to have, in my mind, the true changing of the guard, quote unquote, from this era of hockey to what I'll call the new era out west. With, say, like, you look at what the Oilers have with Draisaitl and McDavid to, I think we can say what you want to say about them. I kind of like watching the Flames play. They're what I call quicker old school in a sense, the way they physically play. But, at the end of the day, they're playmakers on that team that are just as skilled as pretty much anyone else in the NHL. I think it kind of remains to be seen. I know they missed the playoffs, but you do have to wonder how the Vegas experiment with Eichel and kind of the other guys out there that they've had with Marchessault kind of goes out there and stuff like that. So
it's interesting with Vegas. It's really
Yeah.
a really funny thing with me being a Jack Eichel expert the last few years in Buffalo, but
really,
they think they didn't make it over teams like the Stars or the Kings is really interesting to see, and that's even very more timely with the draft lottery tonight, Paul, seeing where they're going to end up picking, because Buffalo should own their pick if it lands outside the top 10 tonight.
And I forgot. Obviously, they didn't have a great year, and I didn't anticipate them to, because I think teams learned from what I call the Vegas mistake, allowing them to just get so many great guys. But to that end, the Kraken came on pretty good towards the end of the year. They got a really good young core. Not that I would know, because I still love and miss Yanni Gord, but they got asked. It's going to be a fun, interesting couple years, especially to me out west, where really you get outside of Tampa Bay, you get outside of Florida. And I guess still to a degree like the Bruins, but once these guys that have been the mainstay power names of the NHL kind of go away here in a few years, you have most of your at least star power out west for the time being.
Yeah, you still have the Hurricanes. I think the Hurricanes will be there for a long time. Aho's awesome.
Yeah,
Rob
yeah.
Brennemore's a fantastic coach.
To me, their issue becomes, I wouldn't say cap money, but they're going to need some upgrades at goaltending eventually. Yeah, Brendan Moore is just he's a fantastic coach. I think in all honesty, I think he's in the wrong role as coach, borderline. I really would kind of see him in a GM kind of role.
I think he's really good in the locker room, though.
Yeah. No, I know. I know he's really great there. There was a piece I read back from I want to say December or something like that, where he didn't want to coach. Period. In general, I think he kind of helped out because he played with the Hurricanes at the end of his career, more or less.
Won the cup.
Made an appearance, I think.
Or made an appearance.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean he was just coaching I believe it was his daughter's team, and because I forget the name of the GM at the time with the Hurricanes, they needed help just coaching the AHL team in Charlotte for a year, more or less, because they fired the guy and they just needed somebody to go in. And he goes, I'll do it for the year, but that's like it. I don't really want to be out on the road or anything like that. And lo and behold, here we are. I think it's technically 5 years on or something like that. So, obviously not all of Carolina. I think this is his third full season with them or something like that as the head coach.
Right, yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean the culture in Raleigh's crazy. I think it helps these southern teams, and this is a completely different tangent, but your Carolinas, your Tampa Bays, your Floridas, which really intrigues me to kind of see. I mean, even Nashville. Obviously, Nashville's kind of gets forgotten about in a sense in this, but because of the transplants now from the Northeast being just sprinkled everywhere down there, you aren't so much getting that first generation necessarily fans who move down there, right? Who are still probably Rangers fans, Islander, Bruins, Sabres, those fans, Pens fans, Flyers fans, right? But the second generation out of that, their kids, right? They're going to be your Hurricanes, your Lightning, your Panthers, your Preds fans. And there's a reason why those fan bases, especially in my mind, Nashville, Carolina, and Tampa Bay, who are very raucous, and you have a ton of it. It's crazy because we have family friends down in Tampa, and it's absolutely crazy. They tell us about how these arenas have kind of popped up within the past give or take decade, and it's because these teams becoming good have generated the next generation of youth product that they're going to be coming from, oddly enough, Florida or North Carolina or Tennessee, and there's a reason why Arizona State has a Division I team now. I mean, stuff like that. So,
and we won't get into the whole sales tax argument,
right.
As he plays a huge factor in the NHL, especially with escrow and fitting guys under the cap.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, completely different tangent there. Okay. Anyway, back to
does Tampa Bay beat Toronto?
I'd like to think. I hope for Nate's sake that we do. If not, it's probably not going to be well. Like I said, I mean, I took them stupidly in the bracket challenge to win the title again this year, win the cup. But I mean, I know, like I said, they've played pretty much 2 straight seasons, now 3 with pretty much nonstop, no true long-term break that you normally get because of the way the pandemic was, and then obviously shortened off seasons between the 2020 to 21 season and then 21 to 22. I mean, they're worn down. There were certain points all year you could even tell Vasilevsky was just so worn down that what do we do? I mean, there was one time that I think they put him on the inactive list for a night, and we had, I think, 2 goalies up from Syracuse. I mean, just to give guys breaks. Yeah. I mean, I would love nothing more for a three-peat, but I don't see a way, especially in today's day and age, where the most you do is back-to-back. I mean, I think, for example, I think what the Islanders did at the start of the 80s, I think that's long gone. Days of 4-peats like that are just, yeah, I mean,
I would agree.
I don't see a way. I don't see a way.
What's the best sport to win a three-peat?
I mean, I think winning one in any sport would be pretty nuts.
I would say the NHL is the hardest though because
mean,
it's so physical
yeah.
in the playoffs.
Yeah.
It's just a total different game.
Yeah.
They don't play like that for 82 games, and then you watch a playoff game and they're running into each other into the boards and bashing skulls in. So it's
Right.
certainly taxing on the body in terms of the NHL playoffs, and it takes it. You gotta do that for a month. It's not like it's one game series. It's you gotta win 16 games.
I'll say, I mean, potentially it's really a month and a half if
Right.
series play out long anyway.
You gotta win 16 games.
Yeah. That's all you got. Yeah, I don't know. I think, like Nate said, I think probably the toughest is the NHL and hockey. But I also think it just maybe depends. I mean,
I would say the NBA, but the NBA is you got to win 16 as well.
right.
So.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. All right, let's before we get out of here, we do need to discuss the Kentucky Derby. Okay, so Rich Strike makes history, 80-1 long shot, wins it, was an alternate, gets put into the race. Technically, I think it was late Friday night when the 20 horse scratched, but just absolutely crazy. I did not bet Rich Strike.
I don't know if a lot of people did.
Here's the thing: if you bet the straight exacta, which is the first and second place horse, which were the 21 and the 3, you would have won $84,000 on like a dollar bet, something like ridiculously like stupid like that. That being said, this is what makes watching sports so fun. So I was at Paradise scoring the races when this happened, so we had it up on like the background just to kind of watch. And I don't bet horse racing for the most part. Usually it's just a Kentucky Derby, and that's my once a year foray into it. But absolutely crazy. This is gonna be, I mean, barring say like the Cincinnati Reds turning it around all of a sudden and like just winning the World Series.
1-2 in a row.
Exactly. Don't let the Reds get hot. This is the opportunity to be the sports story of the year. Just absolutely crazy. And the video, especially the aerial video of coming out of the third and fourth turns and seeing where Rich Strike was, absolutely crazy.
The craziest thing to me is Rich Strike last year, $30,000 claiming horse.
Yeah.
So he was purchased for $30,000, less than a calendar year ago. And I'm just starting to think, Nick and Paul, why didn't we each put 10 grand in and go for it last year?
I know.
I don't think Finger Lakes has prized horses.
That's
like
quite
that.
the foresight too to
Right.
pool in that money. So it's
And that's
cool to
and
take
that
a
is
chance on 'em.
that is on the cheap for a racing
Very.
horse. It's very cheap.
Yeah. We should invest.
Nick, did you bet anybody?
Yeah, I went to Finger Lakes Friday afternoon to make my bets, and there was no damn 21 horse on the field when I was there, so I did not win. But it's definitely a cool story. The fact that he wasn't even in it Friday morning, so I'm giving him a shot at the Triple Crown. Why not?
I believe too. I would have to check on this. So that's an interesting thing.
I
I'll
did
touch
hear
on
a
that.
story. Our
Go ahead.
photographer at the Finger Lakes Times, Spencer Toulis, who's a huge horse racing fan, did a little research on Rick Strike, and he says he's only like won once, if I can remember the story.
Yeah, I mean,
he's only won once, and
yeah.
it was on like Churchill Downs, so he was very familiar with the track.
It was
So
in that claiming race that he's won.
I believe
6.
Well, I believe too. This was Rich Strike's first run on dirt. I think they've been running him on turf too, mostly. I could be wrong. Either way, I believe, I wouldn't quote me on this. I believe this is the first time an alternate's won the Derby. I could be wrong though.
gotta be.
Yeah. It's the longest odds ever.
Yeah, but I believe it also would be technically slot number 21's first win as well.
Gotta be.
So
You don't usually see that 21 horse.
no.
I mean, they didn't say the horse's. How often did they not say the horse's name until
Right.
however many feet before the finish? They're talking about epicenter most of the time.
Yeah. True. Yeah, so the next race that was scheduled for Rich Strike, obviously plans have changed for Rich Strike, was not even, I believe it wasn't even Preakness. I believe it was the Belmont, not even obviously the Belmont Stakes, but the Peter Pan, which is run in the upcoming run to Belmont. Obviously, I think things have changed for Rich Strike and his plans for running at this point. I would imagine. I haven't seen anything officially that he will be in the Preakness. I would imagine so that he would be. I mean, why not? But, yeah, I mean, up until probably that last furlong, the next race for Rich Strike was going to be the Peter Pan at Belmont.
I like to see what his odds are.
Well, we won't know that for a while, Nick. Well, at least for another week and a half. Well, no, week.
2 weeks.
Well, no, it'd be a week and a half at this point.
Yeah, a week and a half at this point. Yeah.
Sure, the odds have come out by now, though, huh?
No, they won't release. They won't release those for the Preakness for another, like I said, week and a half, until right before the race, pretty much. So, all right.
Better than American Pharoah?
Big Brown.
R.I.P. Barbaro.
Pour one out for the homie. All right. That takes us to the end of the show for today. If you haven't already, like, share, subscribe, all the fun stuff. Also, we'll start plugging this more hardcore, but you can always listen to us, by the way, on via Anchor, Spotify, I believe a couple other major podcasting platforms. I can't remember off the top of my head for specifically Fresh Takes. But also, we are being more diligent, I'll call it, getting the audio stuff up with that. So any other of the fantastic podcasts from FingerLakes1.com, make sure you check it out that way.
And you don't have to look at Paul's face during the...
I do have the face for radio. Don't let Nate fool you. But anyway, Nate, I appreciate you jumping on with us for a little bit here. An extra
Pleasure, boys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Do this again here, hopefully. Nick, who are you shouting out? I went to the wrong button.
Oh, I already
That's
left the
on me.
building.
That's on me. I went to the wrong button.
I'll shout out my cousin Lindsay. It was her birthday yesterday.
Ah,
I do not know how old she is. She's older than me, but
damn.
shout out Lindsay.
Lindsay's 29.
I'm 27.
She's 29.
29. Yeah, she's 29. Yeah, I hope the family's doing well. Shout out.
Some of my favorite people, the Kiefers. So, agree. Happy birthday,
He's a
Lindsay.
Capitals fan, Justin.
Well, that's on him. He's also a Ravens fan.
Every
but-
time he's around,
Yeah.
Paul is always like, "Yeah, I like the Capitals."
Me and him.
Once he leaves the room, he's like,
No, he knows where I stand on, but me and Justin, we have a good rapport. We have a nice little banter back and forth about things. So that and I know he appreciates our lacrosse coverage that we got going on. So
yeah,
yeah,
big lacrosse guy.
yes. So hopefully, yeah, you're right. Hopefully, we're going to do well. All right, everybody, we'll be back more than likely next Tuesday. I can't imagine a way that we wouldn't be at this point. But like, share, subscribe, all that stuff. We'll watch the games this week and today, and all the fun stuff. We'll see you next week.